In the 2000s, Teyana Taylor burst into the public eye with a force that felt almost predestined. She had the look, the charisma, the body, and the backing of powerful industry figures. Every headline suggested this was the girl who could dominate the charts. But in the shadows of that promise lurked something less predictable. The music industry is built on identifying stars, polishing them into icons, and pushing them into the mainstream. Teyana was given that same machine, but like gears grinding without oil, it didn't always spin in her favor. While other artists from her era seamlessly transitioned into radio heavyweights and pop culture fixtures, Teyana never quite reached that peak. Even after linking up with actor Pierre in what many call a PR relationship, her latest album still flopped. And bestie, we think we know why. Before y'all fix your fingers to tell us we're reaching, remember folks always got something to say, don't they? Let's start from the very beginning. Teyana Miche Jackelly Schumpert, formerly Taylor, was born on December 10, 1990, in Harlem, New York. Raised by her mother, Nikki Taylor, who worked multiple jobs to support them, Teyana grew up in an environment where hustle wasn't optional, it was survival. Her beginnings reflected the hunger of a Harlem girl with ambition too big for her surroundings. Influenced by the eclectic soundscapes of hip-hop and R&B, she was immersed in performance, dance, and style from an early age. She was often described as the girl who could outshine anyone in the room. But Teyana wasn't just another pretty face with dreams. At age 15, she was already appearing on MTV's My Super Sweet 16, showcasing a confidence and star quality that caught industry attention. She had that it factor, that indefinable quality that makes you stop scrolling and pay attention. That raw energy caught the attention of none other than Pharrell Williams. Signing to his Star Trak Entertainment label should have been the start of a fairy tale. Pharrell was one of the most powerful producers of his era, writing high-off hits with everyone from Britney Spears to Jay-Z. His co-sign was the kind of validation most artists only dream of. They were close, even calling each other Pops and Skateboard T cute, right? But behind the scenes, things weren't so pretty. Pharrell's label had a history of mismanaging artists. Just ask Kellis about her struggles with the Neptunes camp. The same pattern that plagued other Star Trak artists began emerging with Teyana. Studio sessions were inconsistent, promotional budgets were minimal, and most importantly, her debut album kept getting pushed back. Industry insiders whispered about creative differences and label politics. Meanwhile, Teyana was stuck in development hell, watching other artists her age blow up while she remained in limbo. So when Teyana's debut album never got released under Star Trak, the initial hype around her name started to fade. The industry is brutal about momentum, lose it once, and it's twice as hard to get back. By the time her first single, Google Me, dropped in 2008, it only peaked at number 90 on the charts. 90, bestie. After all that hype, it wasn't giving what it was supposed to give. But let's put this in context. 2008 was a pivotal year in music. This was when artists like Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, and Taylor Swift were establishing themselves as pop forces. While contemporaries like Rihanna were shooting into superstardom with hits like Disturbia and Take a Bow, Teyana was stuck in limbo, talented but overlooked. Valuable enough to keep around, but not valuable enough to fully invest in. The music video for Google Me showed flashes of what Teyana could be: a dynamic performer with undeniable swag. But without proper radio support, playlist placement, or a coherent marketing strategy, the song disappeared into the digital void. It was a harsh lesson in how talent alone doesn't guarantee success in the music business. During this period, Teyana was also dealing with personal struggles. The pressure of early fame, financial instability, and the constant rejection from an industry that seemed to promise everything but deliver nothing took its toll. Friends from that era describe her as determined but frustrated, watching opportunities slip away despite her best efforts. After the Star Trak disappointment, Teyana found herself label shopping again. The music industry can be like dating once you've been dumped by a high-profile partner. Everyone else wonders what's wrong with you. She eventually landed at Interscope, but that relationship was short-lived and equally unproductive. Then came what seemed like divine intervention. In 2012, she signed with Kanye West's Good Music. On paper, this looked like the moment. Kanye was at the height of his powers, coming off My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and building a roster that included Pusha T, Big Sean, and Kid Cudi. She appeared on the Cruel Summer compilation album, contributing to tracks that showcased her versatility. Industry watchers were convinced this was Teyana's second chance at stardom. Kanye had a track record of elevating artists. Look what he'd done for Kid Cudi's career trajectory. But here's where things get complicated. Working with Kanye West is like riding a hurricane, exhilarating but unpredictable. His attention could shift at any moment, leaving projects incomplete or underpromoted. Teyana would learn this lesson the hard way. Her debut album, 7, finally dropped in 2014, 7 years after she'd first stepped into the spotlight. The album was deeply personal, named after the number 7's significance in her life and featuring introspective tracks about love, struggle, and perseverance. Critics praised it. Rolling Stone called it a promising debut that showcases Taylor's impressive range, and Pitchfork noted her compelling vocal presence. But critical acclaim doesn't always translate to commercial success, especially without proper label support. Good Music was focused on bigger priorities: Kanye's own projects, Pusha T's drug rap narratives, and building the brand as a whole. Teyana's R&B sound, while quality, wasn't the label's main focus. The album peaked at number 19 on the Billboard 200, respectable but not breakthrough. More importantly, it lacked a defining single that could push her into mainstream consciousness. Songs like Maybe and Do Not Disturb showed her growth as an artist, but they didn't have the radio-friendly appeal needed to compete with artists like Beyoncé, Rihanna, or even newer R&B acts like Jane Aiko. During this period, Teyana was also establishing herself as a visual artist and dancer. Her music videos were cinematic experiences that showcased her creative vision beyond just singing. But in an industry increasingly driven by streaming numbers and viral moments, artistic vision alone wasn't enough to guarantee success. Then came what many consider Teyana's most iconic moment. Her next big boost came at the 2016 VMAs when she starred in Kanye's Fade video, serving body and abs that had everybody gagging. The internet went crazy. Suddenly everyone was talking about Teyana Taylor again, but for her physical appearance rather than her musical talent. Fans thought this was her breakout moment, and in many ways, it was. The Fade video has over 100 million views on YouTube, and Teyana became a fitness inspiration for thousands of women. She leveraged this moment into brand partnerships, magazine covers, and increased social media following. But here's the thing about viral moments: they're double-edged swords. While Fade brought Teyana massive visibility, it also pigeonholed her as more of a video vixen than a serious recording artist. The conversation around her became about her body, her workout routine, and her relationships rather than her music. Kanye fumbled the bag again. Instead of immediately capitalizing on this viral moment with new music, there was radio silence. Her sophomore album, KTSE, didn't drop until 2018, 2 full years after her most visible moment. In internet time, that's practically a lifetime. When KTSE finally arrived, the rollout was messy and underpromoted. The album was part of Kanye's ambitious plan to release 5 albums in 5 weeks, but that strategy backfired. Each release got lost in the chaos, and Teyana's deeply personal R&B album was overshadowed by the drama surrounding Kanye's own projects and controversial statements. The album itself was introspective and mature, dealing with themes of love, motherhood, and self-discovery, but it also contained some eyebrow-raising moments. Fans criticized certain lyrics, especially when she got candid about threesomes with then-husband Iman Shumpert. Teyana clapped back on Twitter, basically saying, "Just because I enjoy expressing my sexuality doesn't mean I don't respect myself." Whew, child. But even with the drama, the album peaked only at number 17, still not enough to push her into true stardom. The singles Gonna Love Me and Rose in Harlem showed artistic growth but failed to capture mainstream attention. Around this time, Teyana was juggling multiple identities: recording artist, fitness influencer, fashion icon, and new mother. She'd given birth to her daughter, Iman Jr., nicknamed Junie, in 2015, and was navigating the challenges of balancing motherhood with career ambitions. The mom life seemed to suit her, and she was open about the joys and struggles of raising a child while pursuing music. But this life stage also meant less flexibility for touring, promotion, and the constant grind that building a music career requires. So what do artists do when the music ain't hitting like it should? Diversify the portfolio, of course. Teyana and Iman premiered their reality show, Teyana and Iman, in 2018, giving fans an intimate look into their marriage and family life. The show had potential. They were an attractive couple with undeniable chemistry and a beautiful family. But after just 6 episodes, it was gone. Reality TV audiences are fickle, and the show struggled to find its identity between genuine intimacy and manufactured drama. By 2021, their follow-up show, We Got Love, also fizzled after 1 season. Meanwhile, cracks were showing in what had seemed like a perfect marriage. Her relationship with Iman was unraveling with persistent infidelity rumors and financial drama. Iman, a former NBA player, had his own career challenges, and the pressures of public life were taking their toll on the relationship. Social media became a battlefield of subtle shade and cryptic posts. Fans who had looked up to them as relationship goals began noticing the signs: separate appearances, deleted photos, and Teyana's increasingly independent messaging. By 2023, they had officially separated, and by 2024, the divorce was finalized. For someone who had been so open about her love life and her music, this personal upheaval was both painful and public. The divorce proceedings revealed financial disputes and custody arrangements that played out in tabloid headlines. Enter Pierre. By early 2025, she was appearing with him at high-profile events like the Oscars, then sealing the deal with a birthday party smooch that made headlines across entertainment blogs. Aaron even appeared in her music video for a long time, cementing their public relationship status. But here's the issue. While Aaron is undeniably fine and talented, he's had notable roles in films like The Underground Railroad and Mufasa: The Lion King. He's not yet a household name. He's not an A-list superstar who could elevate her brand to the next level. So instead of reviving her career, the relationship comes off as potentially strategic, rather than organic, and fans can smell desperation from miles away. Her new album, Escape Room, released in August 2025 under her own independent label, debuted at number 67. Even with Aaron's support and the media attention around their relationship, the music still isn't translating to commercial success. And that's the problem. PR relationships can work when your partner brings cultural dominance. Jay-Z and Beyoncé, for example. But Teyana and Aaron? Cute couple, sure, but not career-changing. Instead of attention translating into streams, the optics highlight a gap between visibility and relevance. Fans are more tuned into her personal life, the cheating rumors with Iman, her sex life confessions, and her reality TV ventures than her actual music. And that's what hurts her the most. Teyana has always craved recognition as an R&B powerhouse. But when the audience is focused on the mess, the artistry gets lost. Now don't get us wrong, Teyana is crazy talented. She can sing, she can dance, she can act, she's the whole package. But the industry hasn't given her the push she deserves. And when you mix that with messy rollouts and questionable PR moves, it becomes an uphill battle. The real tragedy of Teyana Taylor's career is that she represents everything that's both beautiful and brutal about the music industry. Here's an artist with incredible talent, stunning visuals, and undeniable star quality. But somehow, the pieces have never aligned for that breakthrough moment. Part of the problem is timing. Teyana came up during a transitional period in R&B, when the genre was struggling to find its place in a pop-dominated landscape. Artists like Beyoncé and Rihanna had successfully crossed over into pop territory, while newer acts were finding success by blending R&B with indie and alternative sounds. Teyana's sound classic R&B with hip-hop influences felt both timeless and slightly out of step with current trends. She was too traditional for the experimental crowd but too urban for mainstream pop radio. It's a positioning problem that many R&B artists face, and unfortunately, Teyana never found the right formula to break through. There's also the question of industry politics. The music business is notoriously difficult for Black women, who often face additional barriers and stereotypes. Teyana's outspokenness about sexuality and her refusal to conform to certain industry expectations may have cost her opportunities, even as it earned her respect from fans who appreciated her authenticity. The rise of social media has also changed the game in ways that haven't always favored Teyana. While she's built a strong following, the algorithm-driven nature of modern music discovery means that artists need to constantly generate buzz and viral moments. Teyana's more traditional approach to artistry, focusing on albums rather than singles, prioritizing visuals over quick content, hasn't always translated to streaming success. But perhaps the biggest challenge Teyana faces is the simple reality that breakthrough success requires a perfect storm of talent, timing, industry support, and luck. She's had the talent, but the other elements have never quite aligned in her favor. For now, Teyana is still fighting for that spotlight. Whether she'll ever get the true recognition she's been chasing for over a decade remains an open question. But one thing's certain, her story represents the complex intersection of talent, opportunity, and the sometimes arbitrary nature of success in the entertainment industry. And until then, we'll be right here, watching and analyzing every twist and turn. Because if there's one thing about Miss Taylor, it's that her story is never boring and it's far from over. So, what do y'all think? Is Teyana Taylor truly underrated and overlooked, or has the industry already given her enough chances? The answer probably lies somewhere in between, but her journey continues to be one of the most fascinating case studies in modern R&B.